Bonjour à toutes et à tous et bienvenue dans un nouvel épisode du podcast Learn to French. Je m'appelle Eden et j'enseigne le français. Hello and welcome to another episode on the Learn to French podcast. If you're new here, my name is Eden and I teach French. In today's episode, I wanted us to talk about the DELF A2 and more precisely about the DELF A2 speaking test or la production orale du DELF A2. So before I start this episode, make sure to click on the link in the show notes. That way you can read everything and also bookmark that page. So the DELF A2 speaking test is the only test that you will be taking individually during the DELF exam. What does this mean? This means that you will not be in a room with all the other candidates working on your test at the same time, unlike the 3 first parts of the DELF A2 exam. The duration of this speaking test is about 6 to 8 minutes, but you also have 10 minutes to prepare for part 2 and 10 minutes to prepare for part 3. So here are the 3 parts of this test. The part 1 is a guided interview, entretien dirigé. The part 2 is a followed monologue, un monologue suivi. And the part 3 is an interaction exercise, which is exercice en interaction. Now let's take a closer look at each of these 3 parts. The first one is the guided interview, l'entretien dirigé. This is supposed to last for about 1 minute and 30 seconds. And this is where you greet the examiner and introduce yourself. And during this part, the examiner will encourage you to talk about yourself, your family, your tastes, your work, or your hobbies. Here are some questions that the examiner can ask you. Comment vous appelez-vous? Est-ce que vous pouvez vous présenter? Can you introduce yourself? Quelle est votre nationalité? Quels sont vos loisirs? What are your hobbies? Que faites-vous dans la vie? What do you do for a living? Parlez-moi de votre famille. Or, parlez-moi de vos loisirs. These are simple questions, and the main goal of the examiner is to see if you're capable of introducing yourself and talking about your life. So here are some tips that I would give you. Number 1 is to always be polite. Always greet the examiner by saying bonjour madame or bonjour monsieur, and think of how you would introduce yourself to someone you've just met, or even for a job interview. Of course, you're not going to talk about the job details or your career, just focus on how you would introduce yourself. Focus on the vocabulary that you already know. Keep it simple and you can be honest with the examiner. If the examiner is asking you a question, make sure to elaborate your answer and don't just stick to oui or non. During the DELF A2 speaking test, show off your skills, show off what you know. Another tip for this guided interview is to prepare. Of course, it's very obvious, but hear me out here. The questions are very easy to prepare because they're often the same. They often come back. So start practicing. What would you ask someone you've just met at a party or a social gathering? Keep those questions in mind and work on them in French. How would you respond to them? Let's now take a look at the part 2, which is the followed monologue. And in French, we call this le monologue suivi. And this part should be approximately 2 minutes, but you have 10 minutes to prepare. Before you start, you will need to randomly pick 2 topics without being able to see them. And then, once you see them, you will be asked to choose the one you want to work on. So you pick 2 topics, and then you choose the one you prefer. The main goal of this exercise is to answer the question or questions and talk about that topic. You'll need to speak for 2 minutes straight. So make sure to pick the topic that you like the most between the 2 that you've picked. Your examiner here is supposed to listen to your presentation and ask you questions if needed or if the 2 minutes have not gone by. So here are some important tips to keep in mind. Don't write your full presentation here. You won't have enough time. You only have 10 minutes to prepare, and this will only slow you down, and to be honest, the examiner doesn't want you to read your presentation. You can write a short outline of what you're going to talk about. You can focus on keywords and work your sentences around those main keywords. Your vocabulary is crucial here. Make sure to master your linking words in French, les mots de liaison, and this will help your presentation flow better. So here are some examples of topics that you can come across during the DELF A2 speaking test. You can read them by clicking on the link in the show notes. Vous êtes ou aimeriez être membre d'une association. Laquelle et pourquoi? Numéro 2. Vous décidez de changer votre vie quotidienne. Qu'est-ce que vous changez? Numéro 3. Quelle est votre saison préférée? Expliquez pourquoi. Numéro 4. Vous préférez la ville ou la campagne? Expliquez pourquoi. Numéro 5. Vous retrouvez un ou une amie d'enfance. Vous lui racontez les principaux événements de votre vie. So from what you have heard here, the topics are quite simple, but you just need to talk for 2 minutes straight, so there are many things to talk about. The number one thing to keep in mind is to show off your skills here, and of course, be prepared. Learn your vocabulary and imagine how you would handle different situations in French. With my A1 and A2 students, I often work by selecting a topic and we work our way around that topic. So we work on basic phrases to know, the grammar, the conjugation, the vocabulary, and sometimes we even work on role play. If you want to practice for your DELF A2 exam, I would highly advise you to work with a French tutor. There are plenty of options online, and a platform that I can recommend would be LanguaTalk. With LanguaTalk, you will be able to choose from a wide range of native French tutors from France or Belgium, and you can also view their introduction video. So once you've found your tutor, you can simply book a 30-minute trial session before committing to them. The schedule will be available directly on the tutor's page, and you simply pick the time and date that works for you. So if you're interested and if you want to give it a try, you can visit languatalk.com/Eden. Once again, that's LanguaTalk, LANGUATALK.com/Eden, EDEN. Or you can also click on the link in the show notes. So let's talk about part 3 now, the interactive exercise or exercice en interaction. So this part is supposed to last for about 3 to 4 minutes. You also have 10 minutes to prepare for this. This is the third and final part of your DELF A2 speaking test. And here, you will also need to randomly pick 2 topics without looking at them and choose the one you want to work on. The main goal here is to have a dialogue, a role-play situation with the examiner in order to solve a problem. So this is basically role-play. Your argumentation and negotiation skills can come in handy here. So here are some tips that I can give you. During the preparation, focus on the main questions you need to ask yourself. What's the context? Is it formal or informal? What's the situation? What's the problem here? What am I asked to do? What is the examiner's part? Just like in part 2, don't write your sentences. Think of the keywords and work your part around those keywords. Be proactive. Don't let the examiner answer for you or ask all the questions. You are perfectly allowed to ask them questions in the role play. Also, make sure to use either tu or vous depending on the situation and the context. For example, If in the exercise it is stated that the examiner is your friend, then you can use tu. If they are a police officer, a clerk, or someone that you're not close to, you have to use vous. So make sure to keep that in mind. The examiner also wants to see if you can negotiate or find the solution to an issue that can occur in everyday life. If you don't understand what the examiner is saying, feel free to ask them to repeat. For example, you can say « Pardon, je n'ai pas très bien compris. Est-ce que vous pouvez répéter, s'il vous plaît ?» You can also ask them to add more details if you need more information. So don't be shy. Ask them. So here are some exercises that you can find in the DELF A2 speaking test. First subject, recherche de logement. Vous allez habiter en France pour votre travail. Vous entrez dans une agence immobilière pour expliquer le type de logement que vous recherchez. Nombre de chambres, jardin, etc. L'examinateur joue le rôle de l'agent immobilier. So here it's clear that the examiner is supposed to be the realtor and you are the person that's looking for a place to buy or to rent. The second exercise here, vacances à la montagne. Vous voulez partir en vacances en France, à la montagne. Vous posez des questions à un ami français sur les prix, les lieux, le climat, etc. L'examinateur joue le rôle de votre ami. So here, the examiner is supposed to be your friend. So make sure to keep in mind that if you find something like this, you are going to use tu to talk to the examiner. Once again, you can click on the link in the show notes to read everything. So you've probably already guessed it, the DELF A2 speaking test will require a lot of speaking from you. So practice, prepare yourself, and you will be fully equipped to face the DELF A2 examination. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode on the DELF A2 speaking test. So don't forget to click on the link in the description of this episode. And right there, you can also find the link to Languetalk to book a 30-minute trial session with a native French tutor. Merci beaucoup d'être resté avec moi aujourd'hui et je vous dis à bientôt pour un nouvel épisode sur Learn to French. Au revoir!